nepotism in India was at its peak. Economic liberalization was still over a decade away. And the Indian family was still opening its home to foreign goods.
I'm happy, my cares are flown away a new day. There's nothing in the way, and darling, let's dance.
In the middle of all of this, a young engineering graduate from the nation's capital made a trip to America and sparked a technology revolution. The father of the Pentium processor and the USB drive, Vinod Dham. Sit back in your seats for this starting up exclusive.
The passion for semiconductors for me came right from the very first job that I had after graduating in 1971 from Delhi College of Engineering. I joined a company called Continental Devices India Limited, and I worked there for 4 years and got exposed to the entire world of semiconductors. And I think that really created my interest in me to come back here and learn more about it. So I came here with $8, and next morning I went to see my foreign student advisor, and the meeting took place, and she asked me about my trip and whether my travel was comfortable and if everything was okay. And at the end of that discussion, I was expecting her to pay me $325, which was the assistantship that I was committed to as a research assistant when I came here. And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, but we pay you that money once you have done the research for a month." And then she looked at me and she asked me, "Is there anything wrong?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "What is it?" And I said, "I only have $8 and I have still 15 more days to stay in a efficiency," which was like a room that you share with a student, which was $75 and $15 for health insurance. That even if I were not to eat anything, I need still $90. And then she went to her room, came back, and she had $125 cash in her hand that she gave to me. On day one, actually, I borrowed money in this country, took loan, by the way, zero interest loan. I would say maybe I got corrupted in my thinking. I became westernized, and I had all my American friends who had cars and they had stereos, and some of them even had homes as graduate students. And I would go there, visit with them, and I said, "Wow, what am I doing here as a student, still, slogging at school and another 3-4 years of thesis, research and all that." So I said, "You know what, I need to really get out there and enjoy life." NCR, as you know, was world's largest dominant player in cash registers. And in a cash register, there has to be a memory, electronics memory, that has to be non-volatile. That is, it should not forget the amount of bananas you bought or amount of shoes you sold. They keep inventory track of all those things. Even if the power goes away, you should have that data. And that was the birth of Flash. So I worked on a device at NCR to create that high-end device. I was presenting that paper in Monterey, California, which got accepted in the IEEE conference. And there, Intel people were present who practically stole me away from NCR to come here to this beautiful California and work there. And that work I did for 6 years led to the invention of Intel's flash technology. When I was doing Pentium, not only we were trying to bring computers into homes, but it turned out we had a lot of people trying to go for that market as well, because they had all realized this is a real market, computers are going to be there for a long time, and this is going to grow to a large market. Amidst that, I had to create Pentium that not only had to succeed in its performance, but clearly the cost advantage had to be there. We were lucky we came in with a good product, decimated the entire competition with Pentium. I think if you are a part of Silicon Valley here, you are always bitten by this bug called startup. And you always wonder what it is like being CEO of your own company, founder of your own company, starting your own company, and going through that experience of building a company by yourself. Either I could go on to stay at Intel and become a corporate officer for the rest of my life and retire as such, or I could have moved out and gotten into this underground world of startups. And I chose to go do the latter. I really was at a point where I felt my calling was to do something now for India. You know, I grew up in India, and what I discovered was the best way for me to go back to India is to really add value through creating in India entrepreneurs who are successful like I am and leveraging their talents to build cross-border companies, and hence both Newport Ventures and Indo-US Ventures, which is my current fund, are cross-border funds where we are truly raising funding in America primarily and deploying it in India to build startups in India which leverage India's growing GDP and growing consumer class, which is creating opportunities for hyper growth in sectors such as telecom and mobile phones and internet and knowledge process outsourcing, education. You just touch it and you find there are opportunities across the board. I think one thing that India can learn from Silicon Valley culture is the concept of risk-taking and not making people feel demeaned because they failed. You know, this is the greatest thing that is about Silicon Valley, is that sometimes failure is a badge that you go with, a badge of honor on your shoulder with. In fact, a lot of times people invest in someone who has failed 2 or 3 times because they think now he's learned all his lessons and he's going to do better this time. So in India, there's still a stigma attached to failure, and therefore people are always playing safe. And in that safety, they sacrifice pushing the envelope, pushing the edges of innovation to create best and the brightest things, which we end up creating here in the Valley. If there is any message, I think anything the environment and the culture can do, whether it's in schools, colleges, universities, competitive exams, at workplace, instead of really constraining people into thinking in a certain mold, letting them be free thinkers and be creative, and sometimes fail because not all the creativity leads to commercial success all the time, as I discovered some of the new path successes and failures I had. So I think it's okay to be that way.